Hey guys, I'm Dennis from Respect Studios, and this is the third part of the object renaming tutorial for Unity extensions. And we have to continue filling our rename function. Now we're going to remove that debug, which is if we have a selection, if we're selecting some object, and we're going to type selection that active object that name will be equal to new name. Remember that we have a variable which is new name, and that variable is getting whatever is written inside the name the text field. And since this happens in the on GUI, which is refreshing absolutely every frame, you will always have that string inside the new name variable. So simple as that, we can rename one object just by typing that. So let's see how it works. We are going to create one cube, for example, and I'm going to name it test object. I will hit rename, and the cube is renamed as text object. But let's see what happens if I remove everything and type rename. Well, our cube have no name now, which is not so cool. So let's add one if statement, which is going to simply ask if new name is not equal to empty, rename, else debug.log, and we're going to type please type a new name. This way we're going to make sure that the user doesn't forget to add a new name. So if we select the cube now and try to rename, it say please type a new name. So if we don't have anything selected, we're going to say please select an object. This way we're making sure that the user actually doesn't forget to write a new name. Now we can now rename an object in a scene. What happens if we want to rename an asset? Let's select that object, rename it to cube, okay, and let's make it a prefab. Okay, now if I select it and type rename it cube and hit rename, you can see that first of all the instance of a prefab is getting renamed, okay, which is interesting because the actual selection, when I select the cube and we check the inspector, it's also a rename cube, but the actual prefab is not renamed. And I have been searching in the forums in Unity, and it seems that this is normal behavior because we're not actually renaming the asset, but we're renaming just the game object, and apparently there's a difference. So we have to do some more stuff to be able to rename that object to cube, which I will move back here. So let's go back to the script, and in the rename function we're going to type object selected object cell obj. It will be equal to selection that active object to hold the selected object. Okay, we will need that variable to hold the selected object. If there is a new name, I will remove that for now. If we have a new name written in the field, we're going to check if that object which we're selecting is actually from the scene or from the assets. How we can do that is by doing if we're going to say asset database that contains, and we're going to say cell obj. So if the asset database is pretty much everything that's in the project window. If it contains the cell obj, actually we're going to say if it doesn't contain the cell obj, which means that the which means that the object is from the scene view, we're going to say selection that active object, that name, going to be equal to new name. And if the object is not from the scene view, which means it's from the assets, we have to type few things. First of all, we can just say asset database that rename asset, but you have to in the first string you have to type the full path to the asset. So to do this, we're going to first make one string and name it asset path, which will be equal to asset database that get asset path, and this is going to give us the full path to the asset. We're going to type here cell obj, and next we're going to type asset database that rename asset, and here for the path name we're going to say asset path, and for the new name we'll type new name. So let's see if we're able to rename an asset this way. I'm going to select the cube, rename it cube, hit the button, and rename it cube is getting renamed here and in the inspector. So everything is working just fine, and that's it, the first tutorial, which is 3 videos showing some simple stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be writing a lot more interesting stuff. For example, the next tool that I will write is going to be asset highlighter, where you can add your favorite asset in a simple editor window, and when you select in some of them, it will highlight the asset. This way, if you're working on real projects, you know that if the project is getting bigger, the constant searching for assets is getting boring sometimes. So you really enjoy this GUI that we're going to write, because you can simply add 10 objects that you use mostly, and you can click on them and highlight them. So the next editor window will be something that is actually practical and not just like the first one, which is pretty much useless. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.